Under the scorching heat of the Serengeti, the African sky resembled an endless stretch of blue silk, baked by a brilliant golden sun. At a small, isolated wooden cabin within the reserve, Leo Thorne, a park ranger with sun-bronzed skin and eyes etched with the marks of time, was enjoying a rare moment of tranquility. For 15 years, his life had revolved around the rustling of acacia leaves and the distant cry of fish eagles. But today, the air felt strangely thick, carrying an unusual omen. From the edge of the sun-scorched tall grass, a figure appeared that should not have been there, at least not in this manner. It was a large male lion, once the ultimate symbol of power on the savannah. But now, this king stood motionless, his body heartbreakingly gaunt. His mane, once a proud crown, was matted with dust and thorns. Every rib protruded sharply beneath his thin skin with every labored breath. He did not roar, nor did he appear to be hunting. He simply stood there, staring directly at Leo with deep amber eyes that held a chaotic mix of utter exhaustion and a silent plea. In the wild, for a lion to show weakness is a death sentence. Yet, he had chosen to step out of the shadows to face a human. Leo understood that this was not a chance encounter. It was the beginning of an invisible pact between two worlds, a plea uttered in the absolute silence of the midday sun. The days that followed were a test of patience and mutual respect. Leo decided to name him Malik, a name meaning king. For even in his most depleted state, the lion exuded the noble aura of a fallen monarch. Every afternoon, when the savannah heat peaked and made the air shimmer like water, Malik would emerge from the dense thickets. He never came too close, quietly lying down under the shade of solitary Mariala tree about 50 meters from Leo's porch. He never crossed that distance, and Leo was wise enough not to take a single step further. Leo began a subtle process of intervention. In the world of conservation, there is a thin line between helping and domesticating. But looking at Malik's sunken chest, Leo knew the lion wouldn't last another week without support. He began leaving slabs of fresh meat at the edge of the grass. He didn't hand-feed him, nor did he try to pet him. He simply provided life. When Leo placed the food and retreated, Malik would wait until Leo returned to the porch before approaching. He ate hurriedly, yet remained alert, his ears constantly swiveling toward Leo to track every minor movement. Leo often sat on the porch with a cup of coffee, talking to Malik in a low, steady voice. He spoke of the coming rains, the migration of the wildebeest, or simply shared aimless stories. He did this not so Malik would understand human language, but so the lion would grow accustomed to his scent, his voice, and his presence. After the first month, a miraculous change became evident. The meals Leo provided brought back the calories Malik's body had long forgotten. His gait, once the trembling steps of despair, regained its natural suppleness and grace. But the most incredible transformation was in his eyes. The vacant, hollow stare of a starving animal was replaced by a sharp, focused gaze. Malik was no longer a ghost wandering through the dry grass. He had become a vibrant, living being, a testament to the power of a second chance. However, the boundary between them remained. Malik was still a wild lion, and Leo always respected that. Their relationship was a friendship of spatial proximity, but instinctive separation. They shared the same air, the same sun, and a silent agreement. For now, the savannah had provided Malik a safe haven through the hands of a human. Leo understood he did not own Malik. He was merely accompanying him through the darkest chapter of his life. That fragile peace was shattered on a fateful Tuesday. The sun was at its zenith, heating the landscape until the air vibrated with mirages. But Malik did not appear on time, as usual. Leo felt a tightening knot of anxiety in his chest. In the wilderness, absence often signifies the worst. He paced the porch, his eyes never leaving the forest edge where the thorny acacia trees stood still under the sun. It wasn't until the sun began to set, casting streaks of blood red across the savannah, that Malik appeared. But the sight before Leo made his blood run cold. The lion wasn't walking. He was dragging his heavy body with agonizing difficulty. His right front paw was clamped in a rusted, crude hunk of metal. It was a poacher's steel trap, a cruel, serrated device long forgotten. The more Malik had struggled to escape the brush, the deeper the teeth had sunk into his flesh, leaving the wound raw and swollen. This time, Malik did not stop under the familiar Mariala tree. The excruciating pain had overridden his instinctual fear of humans. He dragged himself heavily toward the porch, finally collapsing right before the steps, less than 3 meters from Leo. His breathing was ragged, punctuated by low, guttural growls vibrating in his throat from the pain. This was the moment of truth. An injured lion is the most dangerous creature on the planet, but Malik's eyes held no trace of aggression. He looked at Leo with an imploring gaze, wide and desperate, as if all his final hopes rested on this one man. Leo knew he couldn't wait for a rescue team from the city. Malik was falling into shock from pain and blood loss. With a terrifying calm, Leo stepped off the porch. He carried a heavy-duty bolt cutter and a thick leather tarp. His heart hammered against his ribs like a trapped bird, but his hands remained strangely steady. As he approached, Malik bared his teeth, not as a threat, but as a natural reflex to the pain. Leo knelt in the dusty earth, just inches away from the most powerful jaws in Africa. He spoke softly, his voice steady like a lullaby. "Easy, my king. I'm going to help you." For the first time, Leo touched him. Malik's fur was coarse and hot from the sun. As Leo positioned the cutters, the lion tensed, his claws digging deep into the dry soil. A sharp crack echoed, and the rusted steel ring finally gave way. The trap fell to the ground. For one long minute afterward, neither moved. The silence of the Serengeti became absolute, save for the breathing of 2 different species sharing a single heartbeat amidst the sweeping winds. The recovery process was slow but astonishing. For the next 2 weeks, Malik did not leave the area around the cabin. He turned the space under the Mariala tree into his own infirmary. Leo used a long-range antiseptic spray to treat the wound daily, observing the fierce natural resilience of the great wild. During these days, the bond between them grew deeper than ever. Malik often slept within sight of Leo's window, acting as a silent guardian for the small wooden structure that had saved his life. As the scar began to close and the limp vanished, Leo noticed a distinct shift in Malik's behavior. The lion spent more time gazing at the horizon, toward the distant kopjes, the territory of local prides. The call of the wild began to grow louder than the comfort of provided meals. Leo knew this day would come. He felt a tinge of sadness, but also immense pride. He had saved a king, and now that king had to go reclaim his kingdom. One early morning, before the first rays of sun could dry the dew on the grass, Leo woke up to find the clearing empty. The golden silhouette under the Mariala tree was gone. The amber eyes watching from the brush were no more. He spent the day in a state of reflection. The wooden house suddenly felt small and strangely quiet. Leo checked the perimeter and found a single, deep paw print in the soft sand, heading straight north. Malik was gone. He had chosen to be a true lion again, rather than a dependent in the shadow of a human. Months passed, and Leo continued his work as a ranger, though his eyes instinctively drifted toward the Mariala tree every midday. He often wondered if Malik had survived the brutal power struggles of the pride, or if he had fallen to a younger, stronger rival. In the Serengeti, nature is inherently indifferent and has no room for sentimentality. But Leo always carried the memory of that golden gaze, a reminder that for a brief moment, 2 worlds had become one. He had provided the solution, a courageous act and pieces of meat, and the reward was the peace of knowing the king still proudly roamed the vast savanna. Malik's absence did not diminish Leo's belief in kindness. On the contrary, it reinforced a powerful conviction that all life has value and that freedom is the greatest gift one can bestow upon another creature. He had done the right thing by not trying to keep him for himself. For a king only truly exists when he is free to rule his own land. Nearly 6 months had passed since the day the crack of the steel trap echoed on the dusty ground. Leo was standing on his porch, quietly watching the sunset paint the African sky in shades of deep purple and burning orange. Suddenly, a movement at the edge of the brush caught his eye. A massive male lion stepped out. His mane was now thick, dark, and magnificent. It was Malik. He looked twice as large as the gaunt, desperate shadow of that first day. But this time he was not alone. From the tall grass, a majestic lioness emerged right behind him, her eyes alert yet calm as she followed Malik's lead. And then, 3 tiny lion cubs, their fur still marked with faint spots, came tumbling out of the brush, playing and tripping over their own chubby paws. Malik led his small family toward the familiar marula tree. He didn't approach the house closely, but he stood tall, his powerful chest heaving, looking directly at Leo. There was no thunderous roar, no grand gestures. Malik simply stood there for a few minutes, a father, a sovereign introducing his legacy to the man who made it all possible. He was showing Leo that the life saved that day wasn't just a single individual. It was the future of an entire bloodline. It was a moment of pure gratitude that transcended words. In Malik's steady gaze, Leo felt a thank you that resonated louder than any roar on the savannah. After one final, deep look, Malik turned, leading his family as they disappeared into the golden grass, fading into the sunset like a beautiful dream. This story reminds us that even in a world that can feel dry and harsh, a silent act of kindness can create ripples in ways we never expect. We often think of ourselves as separate from the wild, but stories like Malik's prove that we all share one heartbeat. Connection doesn't always need words. Sometimes, it just needs us to be present when a king falls. If this story touched your heart, please hit the like button. It helps us spread messages of hope to more people. We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever experienced a moment of connection with creatures in the natural world? Your stories are the reason we continue to protect these beautiful spaces. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to join us on our journeys deep into the heart of the wild. See you again, stay kind, and keep the connection.